If you haven't done so, yes, babe. I'll get it to you. If you hadn't done so already, but you do have this, right? Malaysia, you have this? Okay. Yes, baby. I couldn't hear you. Okay. All right. If you hadn't done so already, please make sure that you put your first and last name at the top, please, because it was very, very difficult. It's been difficult this whole quarter, really, finding who you all are, and some of your names are so similar. Please put your first and your last name, please, because I had to ask other teachers who in the world you were. You gotta put your first and your last. It's your last name is super important because most of those are all different. But them first names are killing me because some of your first names are not the same as what's on the roll. Okay? Please, first and last name, or I'm going to just say forget it and dump it because it takes too long to try to figure out. You got to grade everybody's paper, and then you got to do process of elimination. Then you got to figure out whose writing looks like what. That is way too much. You put your name on it, or you're not going to get a grade. First, last, okay? Because it took me forever, like 30 minutes to find out. I'm not going to say that person's name, who in the world that student was, because they do not go by that name. So we got to do better. All right. Today's day is the 1st of November. Okay. The assignments that are due this week, we have our warm up, we have our homework. We have a short week, so we're not doing a quiz on Friday, okay? Our essential questions: describe what makes a linear equation. 2, how do you create linear equations given the slope and the y-intercept? 3, how do you create linear equations given 1 point and the slope of a line? And 4, how do you create a linear equation given 2 points? So this week, we're focusing on writing linear equations. All right, no school yesterday. Today, the agenda's on the sideboard. We're going to write in our planner. We have our warm-up that you should have already completed. I'm not going over the warm-up. I'll give you the answer on Friday, but I'm going to make sure that you do all your warm-ups, okay? I'm going to model for you, which we're going to do a foldable on how to write linear equations. But in the process of doing the foldable, we're going to write some notes in our interactive notebook. So we're doing the foldable, but we're also writing notes.
You wanted us to put our notebooks back there.
Yes, I'm going to pass those back out.
Okay.
Yeah, I already graded them. And then we're going to do, in the process of doing those notes, you're going to do some guided practice in your interactive notebook. Okay. Tonight, you have a homework help video. I'm going to send that out about 3. I need you to study your notes. Please study your notes on linear functions. You have notes on linear functions. Go ahead and start studying linear functions. You have a quarter test in December, and this is what's going to be on your quarter test. Everything we did from first quarter plus linear functions. That's what's on your quarter test, okay?
When's that?
I want to say November. It's December. I don't know the actual
That's
date.
what I thought. I was hoping it wasn't my birthday. My birthday's next week.
Oh, happy early birthday. It's somebody's birthday today, isn't it?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, Lila! Happy birthday. Here's some candy.
Hers is yesterday.
Your birthday was yesterday? Happy birthday. Come get your candy. Are you embarrassed? That's your birthday?
Well,
My birthday on
no,
Monday.
I thought it was like a over with, like, thank you.
You're
But
welcome.
thank you.
You're welcome. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Make sure you do something for yourself this week, okay? It's your birthday week. Don't say day, week, or month. Celebrate the whole month. Some people do that. Miss Laus does that. She celebrates the whole month. I'm like, the whole month. Hey, but who am I to judge? That's cool. All right. Your homework is already, let's see, it's not labeled. So let's make sure we label it. This is tonight's homework. There's a homework help video that I'm going to create with this showing you how to do it. I may do most of these, but this is going to be really easy. This is Monday. On the back, sorry, I said Monday's Tuesday. It's just a normal thing to start with Monday, but it's Tuesday, okay? On the back is Wednesday, and the last sheet is Thursday. And the last sheet is Thursday. There are homework help videos for each of these, okay? So please make sure that you watch the video. Okay? Where are we going? I want you to take look at your folder. I want you to take everything that's old out of your folder and put it in the center of the table so I can throw it away. And then only put the new packet for today. Old stuff, put in the center so we can throw it away. It's supposed to be 1, 2. Yeah, you missing the last page.
Oh.
Let me pause. All right, so we have this. We're done. Done with that. We labeled our days. Okay, let's go ahead and take out our interactive notebook and our foldable. We're going to do the interactive notebook first, though, because there's a couple things that I want us to go over first before we jump right into the foldable, okay? So let's take out our notebook. If you didn't bring your notebook today, then take out a piece of paper so we can write this stuff down. I'm going to go back to the first page here. That's okay. And we're going to talk about linear functions. All right, just to recap what we've already started talking about with linear functions, the smaller word in linear is line, okay? So a linear equation are equations that graph straight lines. This is what that looks like. You may have straight lines that go up. That means the slope is positive. As x increases, y increases. You may have linear equations where the line is going down. That means as x increases, y is decreasing. What's wrong? You good? Y'all good? Or you may have a linear equation where the line is just horizontal. Okay? This has zero steepness to it, so the slope here is 0. And then you may have a linear equation where it creates a vertical line. The vertical lines are the only types of lines that are not functions because all of the x values or x coordinates on this line are the same. Nonlinear functions. Nonlinear functions are equations that do not graph straight lines. It may have a curve, or it may be U-shaped, or it may have plenty of curves to it, but it's not a perfect straight line. That's what makes it non-linear. Are there any questions about the difference between linear equations, equations that will graph straight lines, or nonlinear equations, equations that will not graph straight lines? Okay. There are many ways to write a linear equation. And we're going to say this is page 2. We might as well say this is page 2. Slide this over just a little bit, y'all. Ways to write linear equations. One of the ways that you write a linear equation is the slope-intercept form. And a form is just the way something looks, like a uniform. Like McDonald's uniform looks a certain way. Wendy's uniform looks a certain way. Some school uniforms, they look a certain way. So a form is just the way something looks. So this form that a linear equation can be written in is called slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. When equations look like this, then you can say, oh, that equation is in the slope-intercept form. And we're only talking about linear equations, okay? All right, the slope-intercept form looks like this. You have y is equal to mx plus b. When you see equations that are in this particular form, that means that this equation is written in slope-intercept form. What do each of these parts mean, Ms. Reyes? Great question. Let's start with the y. There are different names for y, okay? We've talked about these names before. One of which is output. It's a range, our range values. It's also considered to be the dependent variable. And what's the nickname that we talked about for y? Does anybody remember? An f of x. F of x or g of x or h of x. These are different names or synonyms or other words for y. Now let's go to m. We talked about m before. Does anybody remember what m is? Slope. Slope, or what's another word for slope? Starts with an R. That's okay. Rate of change. Okay. Does anybody remember the formulas for slope? M or slope? Does anybody remember what the slope formulas? It's two of them. Rise over run. Good job, baby. Rise over run is one of them. And what's the other one? Excellent job. Okay, please write those in. Please make sure that you study because all of this stuff will be on your quarter test, okay? Quarter tests are super important because that is a true indication of how you're going to do on your test at the end of the year based on the things that were taught to you currently. Okay, so we want to try to get as much as we can get done to so that you can be successful on that quarter test, okay? And what was your question? What's your question, baby? I thought you had a question. Okay. All right.
Parker took the test.
Bless his heart, Lord. All right. What are some different names for X? Okay. We talked about the different names for Y. Do you remember what the different names for X would be? Yes, baby. We got domain is one. Very good. Say again. We got our independent variable. Very good. Independent and input. Excellent. Great job. Okay. Our B. Our B in word problems or even on a line, when you see the linear equations graph, is going to be the starting amount or your constant. Okay. Or another math term that we use is the y-intercept, where the line crosses the y-axis. Okay. This is the slope intercept form. All right, so now we're going to write some examples. All right, an example of an equation that is in a slope-intercept form. Y is equal to 7x plus 8. This is a linear equation that's written in slope-intercept form. What is my slope in this equation? Which one of those numbers is my slope? 7. Which one is my y-intercept? 8. Very good. How would I write 7 as a fraction? How would I write
7/1?
7/1. The top number, of course, is my rise, and what would the bottom number be? Run.
How do you know like all the time how to tell which one?
Rise over run, top numbers always rise, bottom numbers always run.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was going to have to be switched.
That's okay. It's a good question. Number 2. Another example could be y is equal to negative 2x plus 14. This is a linear equation that is written in slope-intercept form. What's going to be my slope in this equation? Negative 2. Very good. What's going to be my y-intercept in this equation? 14. How would I write negative 2 as a fraction? I would write negative 2 over 1. What would I label the top number as? My rise. What about the bottom? Run. How do y'all feel so far? Y'all okay?
I feel good.
Nat, you okay? Nate? Ian? All right, number 3. Y is equal to, let's do 1/2 x minus 50. I want you to tell me what's my slope and what's my y-intercept. All right, what's my slope in this equation? 1/2. What do I label the 1 as? Rise. What do I label the 2 as? Run. Okay. What's my B?
50.
Negative 50. Any questions about that? All right. Anybody lost before we move to the next way that you might see linear equations? I want you to think about this. What do you notice about these equations also is you don't see any exponents. You cannot have exponents on x or y if it's a linear equation. And I'm going to ask you that a little later because we're going to write notes about that. Also, what you notice is that x is not a denominator. X or y cannot go on the bottom of a fraction if it's going to be a straight line or a linear equation. Just wanted to throw that out there to see if you remember when I ask you those things later. All right, another way to write a linear equation is the standard form. Standard form for linear equations. Say again, baby. This is another form. If a linear equation looks like this, okay, it's called the standard form. This is what it looks like. A x plus b y equals c. Okay. This is where A, B, and C are numbers, okay? A is the only number in standard form that cannot be a negative. Cannot be a negative, a decimal, or a fraction. If it's any of the above, it's not in standard form. It has to be a whole number. Notice how you don't see any exponents on x or y. X or y cannot have exponents attached to it if it's a linear equation. No exponents. The only exponent it could have is 1, and 1 is understood to be there. Examples. Five x minus 2y is equal to 7. This is a linear equation, but it's written in standard form. Any questions? You cannot identify the slope or the y-intercept when it's written in standard form. You can only identify the slope and y-intercept when it's written in slope-intercept form. But when it's written in standard form, all you can say is in standard form. Number 2.
How would you know it's in standard form?
Because it's in this order. The x term is first, then the y term, and then the number that has no variable attached to it. You see there's no variable attached to it. Yeah. It's last on the side by itself. Okay. And look, the a term, the term that's attached to x, is not a negative, it's not a decimal, and it's not a fraction. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Another one. 16x plus 4y is equal to a negative 15. This is in standard form. You have x term, Y term, the equal sign, and the number that has no variable attached to it is last. Any questions? The A term, the X term does not have a negative attached to it, does not have a decimal attached to it, and 16 is not a fraction. Third, 50x minus 1/3 y is equal to 87. This is standard form. It's okay for y or for this number over here to be a fraction or decimal, as long as the A term is not negative, is not a decimal, is not a fraction. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a miniature quiz. Tell me if it's written in slope-intercept form or standard form. You ready?
Yes.
We'll see if you're ready or not.
Can you write this down?
Yep. Pause for the calls. Oh, I'm going to include one more. Okay, what did you get for number 1? What form do you think this is in? Raise your hand for slope-intercept form. Raise it high. Nobody? Raise your hand for standard form. Okay, it is standard form. Okay. Number 2. Raise your hand for slope-intercept form. Raise your hand for standard form. Okay. It's slope-intercept form. Y equals, this is mx plus b. Okay. Very good. Do you see why it's slope-intercept form? Okay. Because you got, remember it's y. This is y by itself, right? You got your equal. And on this side, you have mx, the x term. And then you got a constant plus. You see it now?
Yeah, I see.
Number 3. Raise your hand for standard form. Raise your hand for slope-intercept form. Okay. This is going to be standard form. You got A, you got B, and you got C over here by itself. If you want to reorder it, then you could put it as 4x, positive 4x, plus 7y, and you can bring the equal over here, 17, if you need to see it. Okay? But this is standard form. Okay? All right? Number 4, raise your hand for standard form. Raise your hand for slope-intercept form. Okay? It is neither. Okay? Some of you that said standard form said it because it's in the right order. X, Y, your constant. But it's not standard form because of this negative. Remember, your A term cannot have a negative. So it's neither. Okay? Any questions? Close your notebook and make sure that you have your calculator out in front of you.
Okay. Well, are we going on a graph?
Yeah, we're going to put some equations in the calculator. I need to show you how to do that. He ain't even supposed to be sitting there. That's another thing, but I just let it happen. All right, here we go. Karma. He probably did it too. Anyway, let's clear it. He wasn't here today, though.
Oh, no, that's.
No, he wasn't here. All right, here we go. Clear it. Second plus 7. We can go over to all. I'm going to do it again.
Wait, what?
I said I was going to do it again. It's clearing. Second, the plus sign. We got 7. That's reset. And we're going to reset everything. So stroll over to all. The only option to choose is 1. And don't press no. You did all that work for no reason. 2, reset. Second, yeah, that's the only one you can press 1.
Just say 1.
Mm-hmm. 2. Second plus 7, all 1, 2. All right, here we go. So now we're going to graph some linear equations. So go to y equals. And we're going to do a slope of 2. So that's 2. X is right beside the green alpha button.
Wait, what?
Clear, Miss Reyes. Be patient, Miss Reyes. Go to y equals right here. You got it? Now press the number 2. Now press X. X is right beside the green alpha button. And then let's make our starting amount or our y-intercept plus 3. That means it's going to go through the 3 on the y-axis. All right, so now let's graph. And that's a straight line. All right, so look, where does it cross the y-axis? It crosses the y-axis at what? 3. And how much is it going up by every single time? No. It's y equals, it's going up by what? 2 every single time. Do you see it? No, it's the jagged line because it's a calculator. Oh. The calculator can't make it perfect like that. It's one of them. It's not like this is an old one. This TI-83. You want the perfect? Get you a TI-84 or, a better one. The quality on this one is not great. To the calculator, this is the straightest line you can get, okay? Any questions? Yes. Press graph. All right, let's do another one. Let's see if you can come up with I'm going to tell you what to do. Let's do it again. Negative 4 x plus 5. So that means, is the line going up or down? Down, because slope is negative. Graph. You ain't typing in right. Bless your heart. What you put, a minus sign instead of a negative?
Oh, that's my fault.
All right, so this line is going through where on the y-axis? What number do you think this is? Y equals, nope. It's going through 5 on the y. All right, how much is it going down by? Every single time it's going down by what? Negative 4. Thank you. Down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. Because how do I write this as a fraction? Negative 4 over 1. So that's down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. That's what this graph is. Down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. Down 4 over 1. Okay? Y equals, clear. Y equals. Let's do one more. Let's type in 5x minus 8. Graph.
Oh yeah.
So where is it going through on the y-axis? What number is this on the y-axis? -8. And how much is it going up by? Up by and over. It's going up 5 and over what? No. How do you write 5 as a fraction? So it's going up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1. All right, put your calculators back.